After 3 incredible dates, poor girl discovered a life-changing secret about the single dad CEO. Ava's heart raced as she stood at the corner of Maplewood South bustling Main Street, sunlight dancing off the vibrant storefronts while the laughter of children filled the air. Just days ago, she had sat across from Jack, the magnetic CEO whose smile made her feel like the world was a little brighter. Their connection felt electric, each date filled with laughter and moments of sheer joy that made her dare to dream again. But as with any charming tale, shadows loom. Ava could still recall their first date, the way Jack's eyes lit up when he shared his passion for technology. It was a world she barely knew, a dazzling universe of algorithms and innovation, a stark contrast to her own life working late shifts at the diner. Yet there, surrounded by the aroma of fresh coffee and pastries, she felt understood, seen. For a moment, she forgot about the months of overdue bills and the constant worry over Mia's school expenses. Then came the second date, a fun-filled evening at a local carnival. Jack had swung her around on the Ferris wheel, their laughter merging with the melodies of carnival games. The way he held Mia in his arms as they ate cotton candy melted her heart. This is what family feels like, she thought, her chest tightening with hope. Could love be reignited, not just for her but for her daughter too? But just as quickly as happiness surged, whispers began to creep into her ears. The tight-knit community of Maplewood was never shy about their opinions. Why would Jack be interested in a waitress? Some would murmur, eyes narrowed like the sharp edges of their judgments. Drinking coffees in a farmhouse cafe, Ava could sense the condescending glances from fellow waitresses, raising brows as if questioning the sincerity of her glamorous dates. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as she was beginning to dream of a future with Jack, reality gave her an unexpected twist. One night, as she packed Mia off at her friend's place, Ava decided to take a stroll, longing to soak in the serene evening air. But what she stumbled upon was anything but serene. There, in the park's secluded corner, she spotted Jack. A vulnerability shadowed his face, a stark contrast to the confident business leader she had come to know. Ava's heart raced as she instinctively hid behind a thick tree, feeling her breath quicken at the sight of him struggling with unseen burdens. His body trembled slightly, hands clenched as he confronted invisible ghosts. The haunted look in his eyes shattered her heart. Caught in the tension, Ava's mind spiraled. She could confront him, expose his vulnerability, or trust that he would eventually share his truth. Tears threatened to spill as doubts washed over her. How would the community react if they learned about his past? Was she destined to remain the hard-working underdog, frozen by the weight of societal expectations? The moment felt monumental. In a town rich with judgment, Ava faced an emotional crossroads. Would she brave the storms of secrecy in pursuit of truth and love, or retreat into the shadows of self-protection? As the last glimmers of dusk faded, Ava felt her heart race, knowing that what lay ahead could either bind them together or drive them apart forever. Ava lingered behind the tree, caught between her instincts and her heart. The soft glow of the street lamps cast long shadows, accentuating Jack's isolation in that quiet corner of the park. Her stomach churned with uncertainty. Was she witnessing a side of him he had never revealed? Did she dare to intrude on this moment of vulnerability? She took a deep breath, pushing the tears back. It felt wrong to spy, yet she felt a powerful pull to understand him. What haunted him? She wanted to reach out, she wanted to show him he wasn't alone. As if sensing her presence, Jack suddenly turned, glancing over his shoulder. Ava's heart raced. Time seemed to stretch as she contemplated her next move. Just outside the shadows, he looked lost, weary. It painted an unfamiliar picture of the confident man she had been charmed by on their dates. "Jack," she whispered, stepping forward. The sound of her voice startled him, and his eyes widened. His vulnerability clashed with the commanding business persona he always presented, exposing the raw essence of a man carrying heavy burdens. "Ava," he breathed, his voice a mixture of relief and surprise. "What are you doing here?" She approached cautiously, gauging the weight of the moment. I saw you. I didn't mean to intrude." It's fine," he interrupted, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "I just needed a moment to think." He paused, taking a shaky breath. "It's hard for me to juggle everything. Sometimes I feel like I'm drowning." Ava's heart softened at his admission. The strong facade started to waver, revealing the struggles of a single dad trying to balance work and parenting. "You don't have to carry it all alone, you know," she said gently. "I might just be a waitress, but I understand how life can throw so much at you." Jack's eyes searched hers, struggling to break through the invisible wall he had built around himself. "How can you possibly understand? I'm a CEO with a past, and he trailed off. Maybe I'm just a waitress, but I know about loneliness and fear. I see you not just as a CEO. I see the person behind the title." The sincerity in her voice rang out like a bell, echoing past her fears. The air thickened with unspoken words. Jack lowered his gaze, the shadows deepening in his expression. "You should know that my past isn't pretty. It's why I struggle with intimacy. I don't want to drag you into that." "Then share it with me," Ava urged, her voice steady. "Let me decide if I want to be with you, warts and all. We all have our scars." He hesitated, the internal battle visible on his face. The depth of connection blossomed in the silence. Ava sensed a moment of truth was on the horizon, one that could either pull them closer or shatter what they'd begun. That a low rumble of thunder rolled overhead, a storm brewing in the distance that reflected the storm within Jack. Suddenly, the wind picked up, tugging at Ava's clothes, the temperature dropping significantly. It felt like a portent of the emotional tempest about to unravel. Jack straightened, his eyes locking onto hers with intensity. "You don't know what you're asking for, Ava," he said softly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Try me," she replied, unwavering. But as Jack opened his mouth to speak, they heard a loud crash of thunder, echoing through the park, and the first droplets of rain began to fall. This was just the beginning. Would Jack finally reveal his truth, or would the storm outside mirror the turmoil within? Ava knew the answer lay just a heartbeat away, and her heart raced at the anticipation of the storm both outside and within. The droplets cascaded down, quickly growing from a light patter to a rapid downpour, drenching the park in a gray veil. Ava shivered, the cool rain mixing with the warmth of her flushed cheeks. But it wasn't just the weather that made her heart race, it was the raw honesty hanging in the air, electrifying the moments between them. Jack stepped closer, instinctively reaching for her hand as if seeking a lifeline. "Ava," he began again, his voice thick with emotion. "You have no idea what it's like to wake up every day knowing you've made mistakes and that they're just waiting to resurface." "Then let them resurface," she urged, squeezing his hand, feeling a surge of strength in this connection. It was as if the storm outside was washing away the walls he had built around himself. "You're not alone in this. I won't judge you for who you were. I just want to know who you are now." He took a deep breath, his eyes shimmering with doubt and vulnerability. "I lost my wife a few years ago. It was sudden, a car accident. I was blindsided. I didn't just lose her, I lost myself, and ever since, it's been hard for me to let anyone in." The pain in his voice cracked like the lightning overhead. Ava's mind raced. She had thought he was too perfect, too put together. But this was humanity in its rawest form. "I'm so sorry, Jack. I can't imagine what that must feel like." "It's okay to grieve," she said gently, her heart breaking for him. "But you need to let those feelings out. You shouldn't have to bear that weight alone." Jack looked at her, his fingers brushing against her skin with a touch so delicate, it sent shivers down her spine. The storm raged around them, and yet, in this tiny pocket of the world, there was a fragile calm. "I'm afraid, Ava," he confessed, his voice barely audible above the din of the rain. "Afraid to love again. I worry I'll hurt someone else. I can't put Mia through losing another parent." His honesty galvanized Ava's resolve. "But what if you could show her that love doesn't just disappear when someone leaves? What if you gave her a chance to see that life goes on, that you can be happy again?" A flicker of hope danced in Jack's eyes, but it was quickly replaced by doubt. "What if I ruin it? What if you end up leaving too? No one can predict the future, Jack. The only thing we have is this moment right now," she said, drawing closer. "I'm not going anywhere if you don't want me to." He met her gaze, and in that moment, the storm felt like a cleansing force, washing away the fears, the doubts, and the shadows of his past. "I want to try," he whispered, his voice trembling like the skies above. "I want to stop being afraid." Ava smiled, her heart swelling with courage and warmth. "Then let us take it one day at a time." And just like that, the rain began to lighten, the heavy clouds offering a reluctant retreat, making way for a soft glow of twilight. The storm had begun to pass, much like Jack's fears. But as they stood there, enveloped in each other's warmth, a shadow of worry crept back into Ava's thoughts. She wasn't sure what their journey would look like, and she could tell Jack was still wrestling with his demons. What would happen when reality set in, when the struggles of everyday life collided with their feelings? Just then, a loud crack of thunder shattered the moment, and they both jumped. Jack chuckled softly despite the tension. "Let us get out of here before we both get struck by lightning." Ava laughed, a lightness filling the air. They began to walk side by side, hands still intertwined. Yet, as they emerged from the park, a sinking feeling tugged at her heart. What if she hadn't just uncovered Jack's past? What if his disclosed fear of intimacy hid a secret even darker? And would she be able to handle it when it surfaced? The thought lingered, filling her with both anticipation and dread as they stepped back into the world, ready to face whatever came next. As they walked away from the park, the smell of wet earth and fresh rain filled their lungs. Ava glanced at Jack, studying the way the raindrops clung to his hair, highlighting the softness of his features. There was something so achingly beautiful about him in this moment, but a knot formed in her stomach. She had seen glimpses of the man he used to be, but what else could be lurking beneath the surface? Jack turned to her, snapping her out of her thoughts. "Do you want to grab a coffee or something?" he asked. "That sounds nice," she replied, forcing a smile as they headed toward a little cafe on the corner. The familiar warmth of the place welcomed them, the scent of freshly ground coffee mingling with pastries drawing them in. As they settled into a corner booth, Ava couldn't shake the feeling of unease. She stirred her coffee absent-mindedly, her thoughts swirling like the dark brew. Just how much of his past was he holding back? Jack seemed distant, his eyes clouded as he stared out at the street, the busy world moving on without them. Ava played with her cup, waiting for the moment to ask the question that burned on her lips. After a moment, she took a breath, feeling the courage swelling within her again. "What else are you afraid of, Jack?" His gaze snapped back to her, surprise etched across his features. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you opened up to me a little. But there seems to be more. I'm not here to pressure you, but if we're going to try then I need to understand." He leaned back, his expression turning serious, the playful aura from minutes ago replaced with something heavier. "You're right. I keep thinking I can handle everything," but he paused, glancing down as if the answers were hiding under the table. "Mia, she's my whole world. I don't want to mess this up for her." Ava nodded. "You don't have to do this alone, you know. I'm not just here for the good times. I want to support you through everything." He looked at her, searching her eyes. Something flickered in his. "She has experienced so much loss already. I worry she won't accept anyone new in my life, or what if she blames herself for her mother's death?" Jack's voice quivered, and the weight of his confession hung between them, palpable and fragile. Have you talked to her about it? Ava ventured carefully. I try, but it's complicated. What am I supposed to say? Hey, Daddy's going on a date, or sorry for dragging you through my baggage? It's terrifying. Ava reached across the table and placed her hand on his. You're doing your best. I can only imagine how hard it is, but she needs to know that it's okay to feel those feelings. It's okay to love again. He squeezed her hand, a flicker of hope sparking in his eyes before doubt erupted again. What if you're the one who can't handle it? What if you decide this is too hard and leave? The sharpness of his words stung, cutting through the tentative bond they were building. I won run, Jack, she said firmly, fighting the urge to pull away. I promise. But that means you have to keep being honest with me. The silence stretched between them, filled only by the background chatter of the cafe and the clinking of dishes. Jack finally nodded, but Ava could see the storm still raging in his eyes. Just when she thought they were on the same page, she realized they were still standing at the edge of something much deeper, and what if he wasn't ready to fully let her in? The thought nagged at her, the fear of losing him before they even had a real chance. Ava leaned back, trying to ease her mind, but then the door swung open, and a gust of wind blew in, bringing with it a young girl with wide eyes and a familiar face. She stopped short, glancing nervously around, and Ava realized it was Mia.as. The little girl scanned the cafe, her father stiffened, anticipation mixing with anxiety washing over his face. Ava's heart raced. What would happen next? Would Mia leap into Jack's arms, or would she run back out into the storm of uncertainty? The air crackled with something unthinkable, and Ava's breath caught in her throat. Mia. Jack whispered, and Ava braced herself for what was about to unfold. Would this be the moment that changed everything? Mia's wide, searching eyes finally landed on Jack. The moment seemed to stretch on, the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Jack opened his arms tentatively, a mixture of hope and fear dancing across his features. It was as if he was both a man ready to embrace his daughter and a father bracing for her rejection. Mia. He called again, softer this time, like a whisper meant only for her. The little girl hesitated, her small frame swaying slightly as she took a cautious step forward, then another. Ava held her breath, fear and anticipation coiling tight in her chest. When Mia finally launched herself into Jack's arms, it felt like the cafe brightened with warmth. Jack caught her effortlessly, lifting her off the ground as he spun her around. Laughter bubbled from Mia, a sound so sweet it made Ava's heart swell and ache all at once. But that joy was short-lived. As Jack set her down, Mia's smile faltered. She stepped back, her small hands gripping the edges of the booth, her eyes darting between her father and Ava. Daddy, who is she? In that moment, Jack visibly tensed. Ava's heart sank. She felt exposed, as if everyone in the cafe was peering into the deepest, most fragile part of her. She could see the wheels turning in Jack's mind as he struggled to find the right words, the answer he knew could change everything. Mia, this is Ava. She is a friend, he said, and to Ava, it sounded like a shield against the turmoil brewing in his chest. Mia tilted her head, studying Ava with an intensity that made Ava a bit uneasy. A friend? She echoed, her young voice laced with skepticism. Why does she look like she is worried? Ava bit her lip, searching for a way to ease this moment. I think we're all a little worried sometimes. Change can be hard, can't it, Mia? Mia's brow furrowed, her expression reflective as she crossed her arms. Change. Like mommy changing. There it was, the raw wound that Jack had tried to protect. The room seemed to still as the question hung in the air, heavy and filled with unspoken grief. Jack's face fell, and Ava felt her heart break for them both. It hurts, doesn't it? Jack said gently, crouching down to meet Mia at her level. But it's okay to feel sad. We can talk about it if you want, whenever you're ready. For a moment, Mia stared into her father's eyes, searching for reassurance. Ava reached out, not knowing if it was the right thing to do, but feeling compelled to bridge the gap. I can't replace your mommy, Mia. But I can be a friend to both of you if you'd like. Mia's small frame relaxed slightly, yet her eyes were still full of doubt. She turned to face her father, searching for his approval. Jack nodded slowly, a silent promise between them that he wouldn't abandon either of them. Then, suddenly, Mia's expression shifted. Can we have cupcakes? Relief washed over Ava and Jack, their worries melting away momentarily in the face of Mia's innocence. Jack laughed, his shoulders dropping as he straightened. Cupcakes it is. As they moved to the counter, Ava felt a flicker of hope ignite within her. Maybe this is what they all needed, a sweet distraction from their tangled emotions. But as they picked out cupcakes, the truth lingered in the background. An unspoken challenge awaited as they navigated this new dynamic. What would be the cost of this new friendship, particularly if they planned to explore something deeper together? Ava's heart raced once more, as she understood this wasn't just about cupcakes or laughter, it was about opening their hearts despite the fears that lingered. As Mia took her first bite, a little cream slipped down her chin, a laugh bubbling forth from her as Jack reached for a napkin. Ava's smile mirrored Mia's, but inside, the questions churned. The weight of Jack's past pressed down on them all. Could love thrive amidst such deep-rooted pain? But just then, Ava's phone buzzed on the table, a harsh alarm against this sweet moment. She had to check it. What could be so urgent that it interrupted their fragile peace? As she picked up her phone and glanced at the screen, her heart sank. She hadn't expected this news so soon. And she certainly hadn't been prepared for the flood of emotions that were about to follow. What did it mean for them all? Would it change everything? Ava's breath caught in her throat as she stared at the screen. The words felt like a punch to her gut, twisting and churning in a rush of dread. It was a message from her sister, a reminder about their family gathering this weekend. The very gathering Ava had hoped to avoid. With Jack and Mia in her life now, she wanted to create a new narrative, one far removed from her past. Hey, Jack said, catching the change in her expression. Everything okay? Ava nodded, forcing a smile. Just family stuff. She tried to brush it off casually, but the tension in her chest wouldn't loosen. Deep down, she dreaded what her family would think of Jack, a single dad with a messy history. Would they welcome him? Or would they judge him for the mistakes he must have made? Are you sure? You look a little pale, Jack pressed, concern lacing his voice. Mia, oblivious to the adult's worry, was multitasking, her face smeared with frosting and her cupcake half-eaten. She squealed with delight. Daddy, this is the best cupcake ever. Ava couldn't help but chuckle. The sheer happiness radiating from Mia was contagious, melting the walls that had grown around her heart. Jack smiled too, that easy relaxed grin lighting up his features, reminding her of why she was drawn to him. Can I have another? Mia asked, her big eyes sparkling. Of course. We'll get you as many as you want, Jack laughed. He leaned down, their foreheads almost touching. Just make sure you save some room for dinner. Your grandpa won't let you hear the end of it if you fill up on sweets. As Mia nodded vigorously, Ava's heart fluttered. The way he interacted with her daughter was magnetic. It was easy to picture them all sitting around a dinner table together, laughter echoing off the walls. But the specter of family judgment loomed larger. Each moment spent in this light-hearted bubble only deepened her unease. Do you think Mia would like to join us? Ava blurted out suddenly, surprising herself. Jack paused mid-laugh, his brows furrowing slightly. Join us for what? Ava hesitated, feeling the weight of her own insecurity. For the family gathering this weekend. My sister's organizing it. I thought maybe it would be nice. It was like she smashed a window of light, the air shifted, tension creeping back in. Jack's expression turned serious, uncertainty clouding his face. You want me and Mia to come? You're sure about that? She quickly backtracked, feeling herself flounder. I mean, only if you're comfortable. Everyone's going to be there, and I don't want to put you on the spot. No, it's a good idea, Jack interrupted gently, his tone softening. Mia needs to be around family too, right? It could be fun. Their eyes locked, and in that moment, Ava saw the struggle within him, the fear of exposing Mia to a world that could easily judge. But she also saw hope, like a flicker of a flame beneath the ashes of doubt. What about you? He asked, almost too quietly. Are you ready to bring that back into your life? Before Ava could respond, the reality of the moment punched through the air again. The conflicting thoughts layered over her heart, fears of the past creeping in, worries about family acceptance jangling in the pit of her stomach. Mia, finishing her cupcake, broke the tension with another bright cheer. Can we go, Ava? I want to meet everyone. Ava caught herself smiling. It was easy to forget her fears when faced with a sparkling child's enthusiasm. But the consequences of that decision were looming. Okay, she finally said, her voice quiet but firm against the swell of uncertainty. We can all go together. Jack smiled, and somehow, it felt like they were making progress, one small step at a time. But deep down, she knew they were teetering on a precarious edge. Could a weekend's worth of family interactions really hold the power to change everything? As they prepared to leave the cafe, Ava felt the phone vibrate in her pocket again. Glancing at the screen, she saw another message, a reminder of her family's complicated history. Her heart raced. There was so much uncharted territory ahead, and as they walked into the unknown, one thought filled her mind: would they survive the weekend? Just then, as Jack opened the door for Mia, Ava's heart skipped a beat at the sight of what lay beyond. Family could bring joy, but it could just as easily unearth fears. What awaited them on the other side of that door? The day of the family gathering dawned bright and warm, but it brought no comfort to Ava. The sunlight streamed through her kitchen window, illuminating the table set with an array of dishes, each one a testament to her mother's efforts to impress. But Ava barely noticed. She was too lost in her swirling thoughts, trying to picture the reactions of her family. Do I look okay? She asked Jack, who was fastening Mia's dress, a sweet little number that her grandmother had picked out. You look amazing, he said, lifting his gaze from Mia just long enough to flash her a supportive smile. You're ready for this? Ava took a deep breath, her mind still racing. What if her family didn't accept him? What if they brought up her past as if it were a meeting agenda? She caught Jack's eye, and that was enough to remind her why they were doing this. One step at a time. Moments later, they were in the car. The drive was filled with nervous energy as Mia chirped excitedly about meeting her aunts and uncles. Ava listened, smiling, but the knot in her stomach tightened with each passing mile. Hey, Jack said, breaking the tense silence. You want to talk about it? What if they don't like you? Ava blurted out, the words tumbling out like a boulder rolling down a hill. What if they assume all the worst about your past? What if this ruins everything? Jack turned serious and gazed at her. Ava, I'm just a guy who is trying to be a good dad and a good partner. If they can't see that, then it's their loss, right? His confidence was reassuring, but doubts lingered. Ava nodded, rallying her thoughts. He was right. They were there for Mia and for themselves. And a good family didn't let fear overshadow love and acceptance. Arriving at the house, Ava's heart pounded as they stepped into the familiar neighborhood. Everything looked the same, the trees, the cozy homes, but her memories felt different now. As they approached her family home, her sister's voice floated out from the backyard, laughing and chattering with an ease that disarmed her. Okay, here we go, Jack said, squeezing her hand as they walked toward the gathering. Ava opened the gate, and as they stepped into the garden filled with colorful decorations and laughter, her breath caught in her throat again. Family members were mingling, their voices blending into a warm buzz. She spotted her mother arranging a platter of food, her face glowing with excitement. Mia. Look, it's Grandma. Jack said, lifting Mia onto his shoulders. Ava watched, her heart warming as her daughter squealed in delight. But then the moment hung heavy in the air as her family turned to see who Jack was. Faces transformed from joy to curiosity. The laughter faded, replaced by a hush that made her inside squirm. "Mia, darling. Come here." Her mother called, her voice inviting yet cautious, as she approached with uncertain steps. Ava's heart raced as she steeled herself for the inevitable questions. "Who is this?" her mother asked, a friendly yet guarded smile plastered on her face. "This is Jack, and this is my daughter Mia," Ava introduced, her voice unwavering, but her heart pounding. She took a moment to steady herself and continued, "He's new in our lives, and we wanted him to meet everyone." Silence lingered, and she could see her mother processing the information. Jack stood there, unflinching and steady, and she felt a spark of pride in him. He wasn't just her past, he was her present. To her surprise, her mother leaned closer, a flicker of warmth radiating from her eyes. "Welcome. We're glad you and Mia could join us," she said. Relief washed over Ava like a wave, but just as quickly, it was replaced by the weight of unspoken judgments from others standing nearby. "So, Jack, what do you do?" One of her aunts piped up, eyebrow raised, and suddenly it felt as if the room shifted, eyes narrowing like detectives assessing a crime scene. Jack took a step forward, his posture confident. "I'm a single dad running my own company. I'm just here to support my daughter and spend time with Ava and Mia." Ava held her breath. Would the acceptance she craved materialize from this moment? She could feel the tension, the scrutiny, as the words landed. A hesitant smile crept into her mother's features, but she could sense the struggle within her relatives. Would Jack break through the walls built by preconceived notions? Just as Ava thought the air might clear, her sister chimed in, a teasing lilt in her voice. "Wait, running a company? Is that like a CEO thing? Or maybe just a dad with a startup?" Before Ava could respond, Jack laughed heartily, clearly unfazed. "You could say that. But my priority is being there for Mia, something I take seriously." Ava felt the heat rise in her cheeks. Each word danced in the air, charged with the possibility of acceptance or rejection. Each moment richer than the last. Would her family see beyond Jack's past and embrace him for who he was? Would they judge him? Would they judge her? Just then, Jack turned and caught her gaze, offering a reassuring smile. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Ava clenched her jaw, knowing the approval of her family was just the beginning of the struggle. Today was only the start, and the path ahead was fraught with uncertainties she couldn't guess. As laughter erupted from Mia chasing down a bubble, a question loomed larger than ever in Ava's heart. Could they rewrite their futures with the love they shared, or were they stepping into a battlefield of old wounds and harsh judgments? Ava's heart raced as she stood at the edge of her family's gathering. The laughter around her felt like a distant melody, a stark contrast to the uncertainty playing on repeat in her mind. She focused on Jack, who was grinning down at Mia, making silly faces to coax giggles from their daughter. It grounded her, reminding her of their shared journey of love and resilience. "Mia, can you show Grandma your dance moves?" Jack encouraged, and he set her down. With glee, Mia darted toward her grandmother, who laughed and joined in the joy, spinning her around. Ava couldn't help but smile. That was the warmth she had missed. It flickered softly in her chest, pushing back against the cold tension tightening around her. "Okay, let's take a bite of that delicious spread," her mother suggested, trying to lighten the atmosphere, but Ava saw the wary glances exchanged among her relatives. The undercurrent of scrutiny was impossible to ignore. "Jack, come try my famous coleslaw." Her aunt chimed, her attempt at friendship tinged with an informal challenge. "Sure, I'd love to," Jack replied warmly, taking a step toward the table, his demeanor effortlessly easing the situation. Ava held her breath, waiting for the inevitable follow-up questions. "What inspired you to start a company, then?" Another relative chimed in, her voice sharper than intended, as if she was probing for weaknesses. Jack hesitated briefly, then leaned forward. Honestly? It was a way to provide for Mia after her mom and I parted ways, he said, his tone candid, but full of grace. I wanted to give her a stable life, and in doing so, I found my passion. The honesty in his words turned heads. Ava watched as eyebrows furrowed, and then softened. People whispered among themselves, their curiosity piqued. Jack didn't flinch, he owned his truth, the mood started shifting, and Ava felt the clenching in her chest begin to loosen. Could it be? Could they be meeting him on his terms instead of judging him by what they assumed? As Jack shared more about the challenges he faced as a parent and a business owner, Ava's mother smiled more broadly with every sentence. Encouragement danced in her eyes as she saw Jack interact with Mia. When her daughter drew closer, flushed and out of breath from her dance, Jack knelt down, wrapping an arm around her small shoulders. And you know what? He said with a conspirator's tone. Every minute I spend with you is better than the biggest business deal out there. Mia beamed, pure joy radiating from her as the words settled in the air. Ava's heart swelled, and for the first time that day, she felt a glimmer of hope. Yet, just as the atmosphere lightened, her sister, unable to resist the nagging impulse of skepticism, spoke up. So, are we to assume you two are serious? The casual question hung like a storm cloud as silence fell over the gathering. Ava's breath caught in her throat. She could feel 1,000 eyes on her, dissecting the implications bound within that one question. Serious as a heart attack, Jack replied, his voice a steadfast anchor in the tide of uncertainty. Ava and I are committed to each other and to being the best parents we can be. That's what matters most. Ava met Jack's gaze, a blend of admiration and fear. Did he realize how big those words loomed? Would her family be willing to see them as more than just a past filled with mistakes, more than just a single dad and an uncertain woman? Her mother nodded slowly, evidently pondering the weight of Jack's declaration. But it was her sister's next words that brought a chill to the gathering warmth. Do you even have any idea what it's like to parent alone? She challenged, skepticism threading through her tone. The room tensed. Jack straightened up, holding her sister's gaze with unwavering sincerity. I do, he said firmly, a quiet resolve behind his words. I've faced that reality every day since Mia was born. I'm not perfect, but I'm always here. That's what a good father does. Ava's heart sank into her stomach. She wanted to jump in, to protect him from the skepticism, but a part of her knew he could hold his own. Before she could respond, her mother stepped in, the room buzzing with anticipation as everyone hung on her words. Sometimes it takes courage to admit one's past and to move forward, she said, each word a gentle reminder. And it takes a lot of love to prioritize family above all. In that moment, Ava felt the air shift. A tentative bridge began to form, connecting the old to the new. Would her sister back down, or would the battle for acceptance continue? Ava knew she had to speak up, but did she have the words? As people resumed their conversations, Ava felt the weight of the moment loom larger than ever. The tension was palpable, the stakes high. Could they truly forge a fresh path, or were they caught in the web of their family's expectations? Ava? Jack's voice cut through her thoughts, and she looked into his eyes again. The most important part is what we decide together. Her spirit soared while another storm brewed. The stakes were becoming clearer, and as her gaze swept over her family, questions loaded the air. What was the next step in their journey? Would they embrace this new beginning or force her back into the shadows? And with that thought hanging like a fragile thread, Ava knew one thing for certain: today was just the beginning. Ava took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of courage within her. Jack's unwavering gaze offered a lifeline, reminding her that they were in this together. As the sounds of her family returned to their playful conversations, she felt the urgency rising within her, as if the right words could either set them free or trap them in old patterns. Mia, she called, her voice breaking through the buzz. The little girl turned, eyes wide and expectant. Why don't you show everyone that dance we practiced? Mia's face lit up with excitement, bouncing on her toes. "Okay, Mommy." She squealed, darting back toward her grandmother, who clapped her hands in delight. Ava offered a tight smile, her heart racing again. That moment of joy would be the perfect distraction, a chance for her to gather her thoughts and find clarity amidst uncertainty. Jack glanced at her, and Ava nodded ever so slightly, a silent agreement to keep moving forward. He stepped beside her, and they watched together as Mia started to shake and twirl, her laughter infectious. For a brief moment, Ava sank into the comfort of watching their daughter shine, a sweet reminder of why they were even here. Then the awkward murmurs began again. "Looks like someone is not shy," her sister commented dryly, crossing her arms. Trapped between her sister's scrutiny and her mother's hopeful encouragement, Ava felt her resolve wobbling. "You know, it's a lot easier to judge someone from a distance," she said, surprising herself. "Is that a true statement?" Her sister shot back, a smirk tugging at her lips. "Just because he shows up to a family gathering doesn't mean he understands what real parenting is." The tension crackled in the air once more, and Ava's heart raced as she braved the storm of conversation swirling around them. She looked at Jack, who stood firm next to her, eyes steady and calm. "I won't pretend to have all the answers," Jack said, stepping forward with conviction. "But I'll tell you what I know." His voice echoed in the charged atmosphere, drawing every eye. "Parenting is about commitment. It's about showing up. Every day I strive to be the best dad I can be, and that's not something that just happens. It takes work and love." The seriousness in his words shifted something in the room. Ava hardly dared to breathe, and she could see her mother's expression begin to thaw. Jack wasn't backing down. He was standing tall, and he was doing it for the small family they had formed. Ava's sister opened her mouth, but the words fell silent as their mother interjected. "Jack, it takes courage to speak like that." Softness permeated her tone, and Ava's heart leaped. "We all want the best for our families, and it sounds like you are trying your very best." The acknowledgement wrapped around Jack like a warm blanket. Vulnerability glimmered in his eyes as he met Ava's gaze. They were on the same page, navigating through uncertain waters together, but just then, the door swung open, and an unexpected figure stepped inside, catching everyone's attention. It was Ava's father, a man she hadn't seen in years, an absent parent whose arrival felt like a thunderclap in the midst of a fragile moment. As the air thickened with their shared history, Ava's stomach dropped. Could this gathering possibly get more complicated? "Mama, is that Grandpa?" Mia piped up innocently, oblivious to the emotional turbulence brewing. Ava's mind raced. This was not how she had envisioned today turning out. Would her father's presence validate her sister's skepticism, or would it threaten the delicate peace they'd begun to build? The room felt charged with energy, the past colliding with the present. Would this unexpected arrival help them embrace unity or shatter any progress they'd made? Questions swarmed in Ava's mind, but one rang the loudest: would they be able to move forward, or would the weight of their pasts threaten to drown them both? As the door swung open wider, Ava's father stepped inside, his presence a gust of wind threatening to scatter the fragile connection that had been forming. The garden, vibrant with laughter and warmth, now felt like a fragile bubble on the brink of bursting. A thick silence settled over the celebration as family members caught sight of this once absent figure, an often unspoken tension swirling just beneath the surface. Ava's heart pounded, confusion and anxiety wrapping tightly around her chest. She glanced at Jack, who stood rooted beside her, his expression a blend of curiosity and concern. Protectiveness surged within her. What if her father came in and shattered the breakthrough they had made just moments before? "Is that Grandpa?" Mia chirped again, her innocence cutting through the tension like a sword. The way she clung to Jack's side, blissfully unaware of the emotional undercurrents, made Ava's heart swell with pride. Here they were, a family of their own, ready to embrace each other regardless of past mistakes. "Yeah, it is," Ava breathed, battling the weight of unprocessed feelings that threatened to spill over. Jack's hand found hers, grounding her as they turned to face the man who had undoubtedly shaped the path she had walked. "Get over here, kiddo." The familiar voice of her father rang out, forcing familiar emotions to the forefront. He approached Mia with an easygoing smile, the kind Ava had always wanted from him, but barely ever received. As Jack stepped forward, the tension boomed louder. "Mia, this is your grandpa," he introduced, his voice steady, a beacon of strength. Ava watched closely as her daughter took careful steps toward her father, her curiosity piqued. "Mia." Her dad called again, crouching down to her level. "It's so great to finally meet you." A flicker of something passed between them. A wave of warmth, perhaps yet for Ava, it felt charged with the weight of their shared history, a history she had hoped to leave behind. "We'll be okay," she whispered to Jack, the words almost lost in the rush of emotions swirling around her. Mia, unfazed by the family's past dramas, reached out and gave her grandpa a hug, wrapping her tiny arms around him as if to lend the world her innocent view on love that knew no boundaries. The sight of it sent a pang of longing through Ava's heart. She wanted to feel that simple joy, the same way Mia seemed to. Jack stood there, like a statue, supporting her quietly, turning the focus back to the children, immune to the unsteady ground lurking close beneath them. The air lightened for just a moment, as if a healing breeze had swept through, and Ava felt a sense of possibility blooming like a flower unfurling in the sun. "Hi there, my little sunshine." Ava's dad's voice boomed like a thunderstorm, but the thunder was softened by his sudden joy. "We should have a chat soon, huh?" As Mia giggled at her grandpa's antics, Ava's heart felt a little more at ease, swirling emotions pooling into something familiar yet so different. She could see Jack watching, perhaps gauging this unexpected turn of events against the man he was coming to know through Ava's memories. Could this actually be the moment? Ava thought, daring to hope it could be more than just a reunion of old wounds. Could her family patch together the pieces of their past? "Hey," Jack said quietly, breaking her reverie. "What do you want to do?" Ava took a breath, glancing back at Mia, who was entranced by her grandpa sharing stories and coaxing laughter from the family. It was as if the weight of the past was lifting, revealing a way forward. "We can try this together. Let us lean into this moment," she said, determination filling her voice with each word. The conversations began to flow once again, laughter and smiles breaking the walls they had crafted over years. Ava spoke up, summoning the courage that radiated from Jack's presence. "Dad," she began, her voice firm yet soft, "I know we haven't seen each other in a while. I want to reconnect," but, she hesitated, swallowing hard as she dared to voice the pain and uncertainty that laid bare in her heart. "Can we leave the past behind?" Her father looked at her, a moment's hesitation as he processed her words. The vibrant garden, full of life and chaos, held its breath while the air between them thickened. I think I can try that," he confessed, looking genuinely remorseful. "Maybe we all can." Ava's heart raced wildly, hope swirling within her once more. Jack stepped closer, intertwining his fingers with hers. They were in this together, facing the storms of life one step at a time. "Thank you," she smiled at Jack, as he offered her that familiar strength she'd come to depend on during their journey together. "All those wrong turns," a family member murmured quietly, yet full of understanding, as faces began to soften around the gathering. Hope intertwined with laughter, embracing Ava's heart like a soft blanket. The transformation was palpable, it felt like coming home. As the sun dipped lower, casting a warm golden hue over the party, Ava realized they had emerged from the shadows of their past together. The laughter rang out again, the air filled with joyous acceptance, letting her know they were making progress. Jack's voice, low and steady, filled the air beside her, one day at a time. She felt the warmth of his encouragement seep into her skin, reassuring her that change was possible. As Mia twirled in her grandfather's arms, joy radiated off of a once troubled relationship, flickering patterns of love mingling with the music of forgiveness. They had come together, open-hearted and vulnerable, proving that love could overshadow judgment, paving the way for brighter tomorrows. With a deep breath, Ava embraced this moment. The door was wide open to possibilities, a future painted with colors they could choose. And now, they could step through it together. Now it's time for you to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will touch your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us reach more people. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Your voice matters. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support for the channel. Thank you for being part of our journey.